Are you planning to swap out your Earth-destroying ICE car for an Earth-hugging car? If so, this is the video for you. Today, we're diving deep, pulling back the curtain on the epic battle between battery electric vehicles, or BEV, and hydrogen fuel cell vehicles, FCEV, for the soul of the automotive world. We're dissecting everything, from the tech under the hood to the brutal truth of the bottom line, laying bare why one is soaring towards a mass-market future and the other. If you've been deliberating on which way to swing, you'll want to stick around. The war under the hood, tech breakdown. BEV and FCEV are two radically different philosophies for achieving that glorious tailpipe emission-free drive. Contender 1, the BEV. These are giant, sophisticated smartphones on wheels. At its core, it's a colossal battery pack that stores electricity. This juice powers an electric motor, which then, rather elegantly, spins the wheels. Simple, direct, and incredibly efficient. When it's thirsty, just plug it in at home or at a charging station till full. BEV are mature, refined, and already dominating the streets of almost every other major city. We've seen BEV evolve from glorified golf carts to supercars that can out-accelerate a Bugatti in the blink of an eye. Contender 2, the FCEV. This beast is a different animal entirely. While it's also an electric vehicle at the core, the key difference is that the electricity isn't stored in a massive battery. FCEV generate their own power on board, thanks to a magical little box called a fuel cell stack. You pump in compressed hydrogen gas, it mixes with oxygen from the air, and through an electrochemical reaction, boom, you get electricity. The only byproduct? Pure, unadulterated water vapor. Sounds futuristic, like something out of Star Wars, right? But here's the kicker. It's still relatively new, complex, and nowhere near as widespread as its battery-powered cousin. You refuel it like a petrol car, pulling up to a dedicated hydrogen pump and filling the tank. The numbers game, efficiency and range. This is where the rubber meets the road, folks, and where the FCEV starts to show its Achilles heel. Let's talk about well-to-wheel efficiency first. This is the energy lost from the source, such as power plant or hydrogen production, all the way to the vehicle's wheels. The well-to-wheel efficiency for BEV is an astonishing 75% to 80% efficiency for FCEV. It hovers at a paltry 25% to 35%. Why is this so? Energy conversion loss for BEV is minimal because it's a direct shot. You make electricity, you transmit it, you charge the battery, and the car uses it. However, for FCEV, energy bleeds at every step. Electricity is used to produce hydrogen through electrolysis, which is then compressed at insane pressures, stored, transported, and finally converted back into electricity in the fuel cell. Each step is an energy vampire. Now, we switch to range. FCEV used to trump BEV here, but that's debatable now. FCEV still boast impressive range figures, often comparable to or slightly exceeding BEV. Range typically falls between 480 to 650 kilometers per tank. Hydrogen, being super energy dense, allows for this without the colossal weight of an equivalently range battery pack. So, if raw distance is your only metric, the FCEV technically still holds a slight edge for some specific scenarios. Modern BEV are routinely hitting up to 650 kilometers on a single charge today. American automotive manufacturer Lucid's Air Grand Touring offers one of the longest ranges today, with its 2025 model achieving up to 839 kilometers on a single charge. This is a far cry from the 160 kilometer average in the early 2000s. With a 650 kilometer range, you could drive from Singapore to Kuala Lumpur for lunch and be back without charging your car, or take a one-way road trip from San Francisco to Los Angeles. Of course, this is dependent on multiple factors, like how heavy your foot is or the ambient temperature. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Strengths and weaknesses. Alright, let's lay it all out, warts and all. The strengths for BEV are obvious. Amazing energy efficiency, established and rapidly growing charging infrastructure. BEV can be charged using AC power at home, or in as little as 15 minutes at public DC superchargers. Furthermore, Governments and corporations alike are expediting the installation of charging stations across their nations to encourage the adoption of EV. Tesla alone boasts more than 30,000 supercharging stations in America. Lower running costs. Electricity is significantly cheaper than petrol, and certainly cheaper than hydrogen. Simplicity. BEV can have as little as 20 to 25 moving parts in their drivetrain. FCEV, on the other hand, have more complex powertrains that includes a fuel cell stack, hydrogen tanks, and high-pressure storage, in addition to the electric drivetrain. Bottom line, fewer moving parts means less to break, equals lower maintenance costs. However, BEV have weaknesses too. Battery degradation. Batteries do lose capacity over time and cycles, though modern battery management systems have mitigated this considerably. Today's batteries should last at least 10 years before needing to be changed. Weight. Those massive battery packs are heavy and have an average weight of 300 to 550 kilograms. Just like any vehicle, the heavier the vehicle, the more energy it consumes to move a given distance. Safety. EV have been known to go up in flames because of damaged batteries and could take firefighters thousands of liters of water and up to 8 hours to put out the fire. Now, moving to the strengths of FCEV. Rapid refueling. It takes just 3 to 5 minutes to fill up a tank, just like a petrol car. Long range, their range matches or slightly exceeds BEVs. Unfortunately for FCEV, their weaknesses are catastrophic for consumer adoption. Non-existent infrastructure. This is probably the biggest issue. In most of the world, finding a hydrogen station is like finding a unicorn. In Singapore, it's non-existent for passenger cars. Even in FCEV-friendly California, the network is tiny and notoriously unreliable. Astronomical cost. Both vehicle and fuel are more expensive than BEVs. Safety. Hydrogen is highly flammable, odorless, invisible, and rises incredibly fast. Hydrogen flames are also practically invisible in daylight, and they radiate minimal heat, making them incredibly hard to detect without specialized gear. You could literally be standing next to a hydrogen fire and not even know it's there until it's too late. Show me the money. Cost. This is where the rubber meets the bank account, and it's another decisive win for BEV. BEV have seen their initial purchase prices plummet over the last decade. In China, you could get the Wuling Hongguang Mini EV or the Sherry QQ ice cream for under $5,000. The cost of charging is also dirt cheap compared to petrol, especially if you charge at home during off-peak hours. The total cost of ownership for BEV is rapidly becoming more attractive than ICE vehicles. On the other hand, FCEV are usually out of reach for the average consumer. The initial purchase price often far exceeds comparable BEV or ICE cars. In the US, the starting price for a Toyota Mirai or Hyundai Nexo is $50,000. The run cost also makes filling up a truly painful experience for your wallet. In the US, the cost per kilometer for a BEV is around 2 to 4 cents compared to 28 to 50 cents for hydrogen. It's simply not economically viable for personal transportation at scale. The global scorecard, FCEV versus BEV numbers. If you want a definitive answer on who's winning, just look at the sales figures. It's not even a contest. Today, there are tens of millions of BEV on the road globally. Annual BEV sales figures are constantly climbing. Sales for FCEV, on the other hand, are measured in the low thousands, and shockingly, they are declining. The total number of FCEV on the road globally is barely in the tens of thousands. To put that into perspective, for every single FCEV sold, literally thousands of BEV are rolling off the production lines. The uncomfortable truth: the FCEV consumer dream is dead. So, what's the verdict? BEV have an insurmountable lead built on fundamental advantages: superior efficiency, rapidly declining costs, and a burgeoning infrastructure that scales much more easily, thanks to those ubiquitous chargers and blistering superchargers. Will FCEV technology ever hit the same levels as BEV for passenger cars? Most probably not. Poor sales leads to lower investments into production and infrastructure, which means higher costs. FCEV manufacturers need to break the cycle to see greater adoption. While hydrogen will absolutely have its place in the world of transportation, think long-haul trucking, heavy industrial applications, perhaps even marine or aviation, where battery weight and charging times are genuine issues. The market has spoken, the numbers are clear, and the future of consumer zero-emission driving is unequivocally electric, powered by batteries. Anyone still pushing hydrogen for passenger cars is either living in a fantasy world or they haven't actually looked at the data in the last 5 years.